All right, Republican Congressman Abe Hamadeh revealed to Fox News Digital that he was one of 3 Republican members of Congress subjected to surveillance under the Biden administration and their, quote, Quiet Skies program. Now, that is a controversial program that monitors U.S. citizens without warrants. Hamadeh called the timing of his surveillance interesting as he was challenging the results of his race for Arizona AG in 2022. Now, these revelations were uncovered in a hearing led by Senator Rand Paul this week, and the DHS has terminated the program. But Rand Paul said in a statement, quote, "We must make sure that this program does not come back under another name. Every official who directed or approved surveillance of Americans for protected speech must be removed from office. Full transparency must become the rule rather than requiring a year of investigation." Now, the result will be a process that respects the Constitution and ends real-life shadow bans against Americans, gives all of us the assurance that our government is focused on protecting us, not on chasing political ghosts. Here with more, Arizona Congressman Abe Hamadeh. Oh, it's a little disconcerting. I mean, you know, the case of Tulsi Gabbard. I just recently this week had a friend, tell me, they were put on the same program that monitored Tulsi. Explain what happened in your case.
Good to be with you, Sean. So I got a call earlier this week from Senator Rand Paul's office, and he informed me that I was pinged by TSA for travel in December of 2022. And as you noted, what's interesting about that time period is that was right after the November 2022 elections, and while I was actively pursuing an election contest in the closest race in Arizona's history. This was a very legitimate election challenge. But leading up to that, I mean, you had the media, you had the Democrats calling us threats to democracy and fascists. But, Sean, here I was. I've served in the United States Army. I had a top secret clearance. I served 14 months overseas in Saudi Arabia. And when I got back, that's when I decided to run for office. In no way did I ever think that this would somehow land me on a watch list by the federal government. But it doesn't surprise me because what we've uncovered is that Joe Biden's administration, what they were doing, they were weaponizing the federal government to go after Catholics who were going to pro-life rallies or churches. You also saw them going after parents who wanted to speak out at school board meetings because they were concerned about the materials that their children are getting. So this is very common, unfortunately, what the Biden administration was doing. So I'm glad to see Senator Rand Paul uncover this. And I also commend the leadership of President Trump and Secretary Noem for getting rid of this Quiet Skies program. But Sean, my God, if President Trump didn't win last November, you could see the road we were going down. I mean, you look at our friends over the United Kingdom, what they're doing by literally arresting people for social media posts and posting memes. That's the road that this was going to lead us down to if the Democrats remained in power and you had this deep state going after their political opponents like myself and Tulsi Gabbard and so many others.
All right, so you have Tulsi, you have other conservatives, you have pro-life people peacefully protesting, you have, moms and dads showing up at school board meetings. I know from Jim Jordan that my social media was purposely suppressed. My personal text messages multiple times released publicly. Nobody seemed to care about my privacy. How does all this happen and we don't find out about it till years later?
Yeah, no, that's a question that we're constantly raising right now because, for instance, the Quiet Skies program, it actually started under President Obama back 14 years ago. But this is why it's so incumbent upon, having good people in office. And that's why it's great to have President Trump there, because the law is only so good as if you have good people willing to follow it. And but we have to make sure that this type of weaponization stops. And I'm glad to see the private sector also starting to now uncover what they were colluding with the Biden administration. You saw banks actively closing accounts of conservatives or gun manufacturers under pressure from the Biden administration. So this is where I believe that we were in dark times a few years ago. It was almost a psychosis, a mass formation psychosis, it seemed like. And suddenly now there's a lot of daylight being uncovered. And luckily we have so many more media access and X being available. So now that we're able to actually effectively attack so many of these deep state bureaucrats that have been, for too long, they've been nameless and faceless. But luckily, Senator Rand Paul over in the Senate, he's uncovered this program, and I know there's going to be a lot more to come.
And we learned from social media companies, too, that they were being pretty much ordered by the Biden administration what they could put out there. So much for liberty and freedom of speech. Hopefully we get to the bottom of all of it. I'm sorry you lived through that, Congressman, but we appreciate you telling your story. Thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.